Hi everyone, I'm Zoe from OpenSight Hampshire, as most of you know. We're a sight loss charity based in Hampshire, and we created these sessions during lockdown to keep everyone connected and to sort of give some, advice and tips for anyone living with sight loss or people that are sighted if they want to join us and bake along with us. And today's recipe is for a roast lunch. So I'm going to let Penny take the stand now so we can get started. So welcome, Penny, and let's get going.
Okay, thank you, Zoe. And this is Penny. And before we start, I'm going to do the advert. So what I'm holding up here is my new book. When I say new, it sounds as if I've been writing loads of them. This is it. And this is A Cook's Tour, Baking Blind Goes Global. It's a big paperback book, and it is a story of my world tour. Remember, I won a prize and was sponsored to go around the world cooking with professional chefs and home cooks. Some of them were blind and some of them were sighted. And so in here, there are over 100 recipes, all the stories of the book, of my travels, and also the fatal accident, near fatal accident that I was in, that I survived. And actually lots of stories of people around the world and how they were coping. Can I commend this book to you? It's available on Amazon and on Kindle. And actually I have a visually impaired pal who bought a copy, and because the print is of a reasonable size, it's not large print, but it's a reasonable size, and she could still manage to read it. But the Kindle version has got the links to all the YouTube videos of the recipe demonstrations. There are 50 in the book. Okay, enough of the advert. Let's get on to the real stuff for today. And what we're going to do is I'm going to prepare a roast lunch, and we're doing this in 2 days. So what we're starting off today is yesterday, and this is what I would have done yesterday. And so I just want to take you through those steps. And the first thing is I've got here my pan of potatoes with it in salted cold water, and I'm going to put this on the stove just to come up to parboil. Potatoes are peeled, chopped up into portion sizes. So as simple as that. And we're going to keep an eye on those. So I don't want them to cook too long, because when I was trying this before, one of the potatoes all fell apart because they must have been cooked just a touch too long. So that's the potatoes going on. And don't forget, we did this the day before. Right, we're still on the day before. And the next thing I'm going to sort out is my chicken. I have 3 different boards. And this is my meat board, so that I keep meat separate from vegetables and fruit. So here's a chicken. This is a fresh chicken. You know, buy a frozen one by all means, but you need to defrost it. And I've just had it in the fridge. I'm just taking it out of its plastic bag and then push it away. Alan, can I just pass you that? Yeah. Thank you. Now, the first thing I'm going to do with my chicken is there's all this trussing stuff. You want to get rid of all of that, because trussing means that things like the thighs are really close up to the rest of the bird, and it means you can't get the heat in there. So that's that little bit of rubbery band thing that was holding everything together. Now I'm spreading it out, and so it now looks like, well, it feels like a sort of white, cold person who's just come out of a swimming pool with his legs spread and his arms spread. I want you to think about that and how it feels, and it's got that rather slack skin. What I'm going to do now is to make it easier to when we're carving it, is I'm going to try and get the thighs, and I'm just dislocating the thighs.
Oh, ouch.
Korea, you won't like this bit, but that's what I'm doing. Because later on, it makes it much easier to put a knife between the joints and just chop them off. We're doing the same with the wings.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Sorry?
I can't see what you're doing. The camera's too far up.
Alan, could you just come and adjust the camera for me?
Thank you.
No, I can wave it at you. Can you see it?
Yeah. That's not a good look.
I know.
Thank you. That's perfect. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Please
right.
tell me those sorts of things. So just dislocating all of that. So there's my chicken. It's got nothing inside it, nothing at all. Okay, my next task is somewhere here. May I have that box filled with water? In this ice cream box here, I have 60 grams of salt. And I dissolved it this morning, earlier on, in just the smallest amount of hot water straight out of the tap. And what I'm going to do is brine this chicken. And this is what posh chefs like Heston Blumenthal does. Liter of water, in that goes. And here goes the chicken. It's as unceremonious as that. I'm going to turn it in upside down, so the breast down, so that's really getting soaked. And that is the chicken prepared. And that is going to go in a lidded box in the fridge for 24 hours. How simple was that? Alan?
Simple, yeah.
Fridge, please. Okay. So we've now got potatoes going. They're coming up to a boil. Okay. Yeah. I am doing this a really lazy way. The whole purpose is that tomorrow, when you are serving your roast lunch up, you are not running around like a blue-ass fly trying to handle all this stuff and your guests and the vegetables and all the stuff at the last minute. So we're trying to do all of this really easy. So, and no washing up. So that's why I have here a little, well, it's just a round flan dish made out of cooking foil. And I'm going to cook the stuffing in that. So in this bowl here, can you hear that? That is 2 handfuls of sage and onion stuffing. Right, I have in here my stuffing, and I don't know how much stuffing you like. You know, I don't like stuffing, don't you? So what I've got here is I'm just mixing it up with a spoon, and now I'm going to add some sausage meat. And sorry, Supriya, this won't please you either, but I'm just putting in sausage meat because I was making, do you remember we made pork pies a little while ago?
Yeah.
Yep. So I was making those on last Friday, and I served some tiny ones with drinks that evening, and the rest I've frozen so that they can go with a winter salad for a lunch one day. And this is the rest of the sausage meat because I've run out of my hot water pastry by then. And so I'm just mixing this sausage meat in with my stuffing, and I'm doing it by the hydraulic method, which is basically my hands are in there squeezing it all together. And I am going to form this sort of, if I said mush, you'd be about right, into balls. And I'm going to make the balls and put them on my foil tray. So, where are we? We've got potatoes coming on. We've got the chicken in brine. I'm making the stuffing balls. And what I'm going to do with the stuffing balls is cover them with foil and pop them in the fridge. And the only thing you need for this sort of lunch preparation is enough space in the fridge. So just make sure you've got all of that ready. And I'm probably going to make, oh, I don't know, a dozen perhaps of these balls. And because they've got sausage meat in them, there's a bit of fat there, not much, because this is sausage meat from my butcher, and he uses sort of 95% meat, only 5% fat. But it will just give them moisture, and it will give you a delicious mixture to go alongside your chicken. So I don't know whether you can see it. There is my tray of stuffing balls all ready, and we'll just foil those up, pop them in the fridge, and then you can come back to them tomorrow. Don't forget, we're still yesterday at the moment. Sometimes you can make your own, if you've got your own herbs from the garden, and you just use some dried breadcrumbs. You could even use dried, what do I use? Some lemon zest. I might use some dried apple because we dry our own apples. Herbs, either dried or fresh from the garden. All sorts of things. Now, last thing I'm going to do here, while the potatoes are still coming on, is I'm going to want to put some butter under the skin on the breast of the chicken, which is why I've washed my hands, because in this box here, I have some butter, and there's probably a couple of tablespoons, perhaps 2 ounces of butter. I've got lemon zest that I zested off a lemon this morning. I've got the juice of a lemon and some tarragon and black pepper. I'm not putting more salt in this because, of course, we've got the chicken in the brine, so that's going to give it enough salt. But I'm just squidging this all together. So I'm trying to absorb all that lemon juice. And in a plastic bag here, I have got the remains of the lemons and the stems from the tarragon. So when that chicken goes into the oven, I'm going to put those inside the chicken so they will add more flavour to the chicken. And this mix here will go under the skin, and so it will moisturise the chicken, and I mean literally moisturise it, because it's got lemon juice and the butter, and it will just make it taste lovely. And you can think of all sorts of different flavourings for your butter. So sometimes I might do rosemary, thyme, lemon, garlic. You could do olive. You could do all sorts of things. Sun-dried tomatoes. What else would you put with chicken? Can anybody think of anything that will be tasty?
Oh, mint sauce.
Mint sauce and chicken. Yes, you could indeed use. I would like fresh mint. Might be very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it would give it a sort of Mediterranean, Eastern Mediterranean flavour, wouldn't it?
Nice.
So, can you see how quick this is all going? The longest bit of these wretched potatoes, which I don't know whether they're on full heat. But, so there's that butter. That is also now ready to go in the fridge for tomorrow.
Can I ask, is there a particular type of potato that you would recommend for roasting?
Well, I think, I'll be honest, I ring up my greengrocer and say, a kilo of potatoes, and I get what I get. But you're quite right. There are different sorts of potatoes. I think Maris Piper is what you're supposed to use, but I wouldn't, just be careful how you cook them. Some are floury, some are waxy. And for roast potatoes, you want floury ones, but they can turn into a mush if you cook them too far. I think, if we're honest, nowadays, many potatoes are produced to do either mashed potatoes or chips or whatever else. They're sort of ambidextrous, if you follow me.
Yes. I'm a bit of a King Edward fan, I must admit.
Yes, well, go for it. Now, what I'm going to do now is start preparing for my potatoes. I have another big foil dish here, and it actually has a lid, And I tell you, this is what I use at Christmas when I'm doing turkey or something, and the roast potatoes then, because I don't have to scrub out those roasting pans. I know that foil isn't the most ecological thing, but it can be recycled, I think. And for those couple of times a year when I do this, it's worth it. So in the bottom of this dish, I've got quite a bit of oil. Alan, you're going to throw those in for me? These are the parboiled potatoes that have been brought up to the boil, had a few minutes at boiling, and shaken them around in the pan.
Nice and fluffy.
Nice and fluffy. And all I'm going to do, this is where blind people work so well because we can bear hot temperatures, is I'm just turning these over in the oil. Right.
So that's not hot oil then, Penny, that's cold oil.
Alexa, stop. This is just cold oil straight out of the bottle.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and those little potatoes are going to sit there going back up oil. Can I do that again?
Yeah.
Sorry. I just love the sound effects.
What are you on this morning,
We want some.
There are the potatoes. I put a lid on them. And those can go, I've got the lid the right way round. Those can now go in the fridge. And that, ladies, I think it's only ladies, but we'll pretend they're a gentleman here, is the prep for our roast lunch. So what we've now done, we prepped the chicken, we prepped the butter that goes in the chicken, we prepped the potatoes, and we've done the stuffing balls. So that's it. Good night. That was the end of our prep for yesterday.
So this is to save us being in the kitchen when we've got guests at Christmas and stuff. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. This is the day of your roast lunch. Okay, and I was up really early because we put the chicken in the oven just over 3 hours ago. And what we now need to do is check whether it's cooked. And the whole key to this is that the chicken goes in on the lowest temperature in my gas oven. And that's S for slow cook. And you will have something similar on your electric oven. It depends on the size of your chicken and how cold it was when you put it in. But I would reckon 3 to 3.5 hours at this sort of temperature.
Right.
Which is very low. And what that is, have you heard of cooking sous vide? Which is when you put things in a water bath and you would set it at 70 degrees and it would take probably 3 or more hours to get up to that temperature. And that's what we're simulating here. And that's Alan playing with his thermometer. Have you all got talking thermometers?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely essential, I think. It's how I check cakes, how I check bread, as you hear, meat. And actually, I use it also for making jam and chutneys. So it's really, really valuable. So we are now sitting here ready to think about serving our lunch. Now, what I have got here is, again, prepared. This is one I made earlier. And I'm thinking, no, that's the butter. This is my gravy. And it's in a box and it's come out of the freezer. And I want you to think about how you make gravy. For this meal, we will have at the end of it a chicken carcass. Got bones, bits of skin. We might have some leftover vegetables. We might have some fresh vegetables, a couple of celery sticks, an onion, some carrots, perhaps some parsnips. What I would do is I would break up my chicken carcass, not very finely, but just break it down into sort of 3 pieces. Put it in a roasting pan, and I could use gosh, I could reuse one of my foil pans, put in the vegetables, and I want to put it in a hot oven and just caramelize all those vegetables. So I've probably brushed them all with a bit of oil, stirred them around, caramelized them, so they're starting to go brown, give me some color. And of course, that will be important for the gravy. Then I will cover them with water in a pan, bring it to a gentle simmer, let it simmer for an hour or so. So I'm getting all the flavor out of that carcass, any scraps of meat, and the vegetables. Then I will perhaps add a stock cube to it if I feel it's not flavoursome enough. And I will be trying to reduce it because, of course, that less water concentrates the flavour more. Oh, a splash of dry white wine I got from the corner here. You can tell what the sous chef is interested in. Bit of pepper. Be careful with the salt, especially if you're using a stock cube. You might be putting in some more herbs. So I might put in a bay leaf, perhaps some thyme, rosemary, all those other flavourings. And then when I've got it all bubbled up and simmered and reduced, I strain it off and I put it into a pan and thicken it. And then I can make up boxes of gravy for next time I'm doing a roast dinner. So actually out in the freezer, I've got about 3 boxes of turkey gravy that I made after Christmas. So that therefore, again, I'm trying to make sure that on the day I am not running around madly trying to do everything. Right, so that chicken is up to 70 degrees. So let's pose. That's foil.
Okay.
Double layer of foil going over the top of the chicken. Because now I want that chicken to rest. And I also want to keep it warm. So I've got a clean kitchen towel. Right, so there is my...
Enjoy it while you can.
Yes, there's my chicken, which is going to rest now for up to an hour. You know, because we haven't finished with it yet, but all the juices are going back into the cells, so it's going to stay plump and juicy. Now, my oven is turned up to gas mark 6 or 7, I don't care. And my darling, are those stuffing balls still in the oven?
Yes.
Please may those come out.
I bet it smells lovely your end, Penny.
It does, it's beginning to smell nice.
Can you smell it from there, Zoe?
Oh, I wish I could. They need to invent.
That's marvellous, isn't
Can
it?
you just...
They need to invent smelly vision.
There's your stuffing balls
Right. Where are the stuffing balls?
in my hand.
Right. So the stuffing balls are all cooked. Yeah. Soft, they'll firm up as they cool. May those go back over on the cooker. They're crisp on the top. Right. Now, do you remember yesterday?
Yes.
Potatoes, and they were run around in oil and they were par cooked. Here they are. So we've now got about 45 minutes to cook the potatoes, do the veg, and then finish off the chicken. So, Alan, into the hot oven goes the potatoes. And again, they are in one of those foil cases. Can you hear them bubbling in the oven?
Sizzling.
Yeah. They are sizzling quite loudly. So when they are done, I will turn the oven up to full whack. So here it's about gas 8 or 9. And this, I will take off the towel, I will take off the foil and slam it into the oven for about 5 minutes. And all that is about is putting colour on the skin. So you're caramelizing all the sugars in the skin. So it looks brown and crisp and nice. And that's really just the aesthetics of eating. So then we'll be able to serve that. We'll have potatoes fresh out of the oven just for that 5 minutes. I've probably got my vegetables on now to cook. I've got my stuffing balls, chicken, potatoes, vegetables, gravy. I'll slap it in the microwave or in a pan to heat up. And it's much, much easier. and you will do a really good quality roast lunch. And I think it's actually quite easy. I think we've been running around a bit like mad things today, showing you what was going on yesterday and what was going on today. But on the day, you will find you've got much more time if you can try this method. And obviously, if you're going to do a roast lunch for guests, you might want to practice this approach beforehand and not sit there on the day terrified that you'll never get the chicken cooked. But, you know, you'll learn from your oven. And, you know, actually, it's quite difficult to tell you what temperature to use your oven on, because you know your oven and you know where you can set it.
And did you say, Penny, that you would brine, if you were using a different meat like beef or pork, that you would brine that the same way?
You certainly can. I wouldn't necessarily do that. I'm very conscious that white meats, particularly chicken and turkey, have very little fat in them. So I'm trying to pump as much moisture into them as I can. Right. But literally, I would, if I was doing a shoulder of lamb, and that's one of my favorite dishes. So I would take my shoulder of lamb, I would pierce it, would put little holes in it. And can I tell you how difficult that is when you can't see? Because I've got here a little sprig of rosemary, a piece of garlic, and a little piece of anchovy fillet, you know, tinned anchovy fillets. And so I've got that in one hand, and then I have to put my knife into the meat of the lamb, and I can't take the knife out, because if I take the knife out, I can't feel where to put the hole. So I have to put one finger down the knife, push it in, make the hole, stuff it in with the next, stuff in the anchovies with the other hand. But I will do about 12 of those into all the deep meat parts of the shoulder of lamb. And then I might have some leftover rosemary or something that I'll put the lamb on, and literally just put it in the oven on a very low temperature for perhaps 12 hours. And what happens is all the lamb fat renders down, so it disappears. You haven't got layers of fat left in the lamb. It is wonderfully succulent. It's delicious, cold or reheated, and you can pour off the fat and just, you know, throw it away or whatever. It's a really successful way of cooking lamb. Any more questions? I'm praying that these potatoes come out in time for me to show you. And Alan's sort of poised over the oven, keeping an eye on them. And then we'll flash do the chicken. But any more questions?
Yeah, Penny, when my sister-in-law does the roast potatoes, she puts them in a colander and shakes them and makes them all the bits so that they, you know what I mean? So that they all sort of...
I do entirely.
Yeah, crunchy.
And Alan did that just in the saucepan, you know, just to save washing up another thing, if we're honest. I have an excellent stock pan, which is also a pasta pan. So it's very deep, and it has a liner that has got little holes in it. So again, if I was, you know, you could do the potatoes in that, then you can lift them out in the liner, so it drains all the water out of the potatoes, and then you can shuffle it up in that liner. But I also use that. Do you remember I was saying about making stock? So once I've roasted my vegetables and my carcass, toss it all in there, cover it with water in the pan, and then later on I can just pull out the liner and let it drain, so all the stock runs back into the pan, and I've just got the vegetables and carcass easily to throw away. Was that useful?
Very.
Very much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry it's been a bit rushed. It's quite complicated to do things we did yesterday and things we're doing today.
No, it worked. I think it worked out well, Penny, to you know, the way you put that together. It was excellent.
Thank you, Zoe.
Really good, Penny. I really enjoyed it.
It's really good, Penny. Thank you. That's Susie.
Yeah.
Thank
Really,
you.
really
Well,
brilliant.
I tell you, it's smelling wonderful here.
Oh, I bet. We'll be round. We'll be round in a minute. Let us know when the spuds are done.
How are our potatoes doing, darling? Let's just take one last look.
Okay.
I would have put them in on 8, you see. Are they?
Yeah, they're just changing colour now.
Can you just show?
Yeah, it's starting to colour now. Okay.
So they'll be crispy and lovely.
Are you having that for your lunch, Alan?
You bet.
And then he has apple and Christmas mincemeat crumble.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've shown you the crumble mix before, and I think I've shown you how to make Christmas mincemeat.
Yes.
So, you know, it's a really simple dessert that I made a great big one that will last all week. Or if
No,
you
well, thank you, Penny, for sharing your tips on preparing a roast lunch, you know, the day before, so you're not in the kitchen when your guests arrive, or not even when you've got guests. So like on Christmas morning, you don't want to be faffing around in the kitchen, do you? You want to be with your family and stuff. So it's going to be really helpful for future roasties.
Yeah, and if you prep your vegetables, then, you know, if you're going to boil them or steam them, they can be going while your roast potatoes are cooking. And then everything comes out, it's all hot at the same time. Nice. You flash in the chicken for its 5 minutes, that comes out, and by that stage you've banged the gong and everybody's at table and you can just serve up. And it's perfect.
And then all vegetate afterwards. That's what we normally do. But no, thank you for sharing that, Penny. So our next baking session is on Monday, the 9th of May at the same time, 10:30. We will create the Eventbrite event on our Facebook and our event channel. So if you'd like to come along, do register. If you have any problems registering, you know, you can always contact OpenSight Hampshire. We'd be happy to add you to the register, and then you'll receive all the details like you have done before, the recipe that Penny's going to do, and then you'll get the link sent to you for the Zoom call on the morning of the 9th of May. So thank you all for joining us today. So happy roasting, everyone. And if you want to share, you know, how yours turned out, or what you've, you know, how you found following the recipe, do ping us an email or even send us a little video clip of what you've done or a photo. We're always happy to share that sort of thing. So yeah, we will see you next month on the 9th of May.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.